Hello guys, my name is Khan, and in today's video we will discuss that how you can create interactive filters in Tableau. So for this video I will be using these two datasets, the index dataset and the US dataset. I will quickly go through these datasets before going to import these datasets into Tableau. So the US census dataset is again a hypothetical dataset that I have created for these videos. So for US census, I have just one country, USA, and then for each row is representing each state. Then I have this state 2 is a short abbreviation of state. Then I have a region variable. Actually, the region variable is a categorical variable that is dividing the data into four segments. For four regions, and then we have some demographic variables like population, urban, death, marriage, and divorce. Uh, so this is the data, and again it's a hypothetical data, have nothing to do with reality. So I will be importing this data, and then I will be also using index data for this video, which contains just three variables. This is an insurance index, and we have the data of index from 1993 to 2019, and it's a daily data. Each row is representing each day, and then I have the price index, which is telling us the closing price of that index. Again, I'm using that data set for my video, for this video. So again, first thing I will do, I will go to my Tableau. This is the shortcut for me for this Tableau. I will open it up. And as I have said several times before, that in order to work in Tableau, Tableau works in three steps. First, you import the data, then you create your visualizations, and in the third step, you share your visualization with the audience. So the first step I will do is to import, as I have shown that both of my data sets are in Excel format. So I will first import my first data, which is this US census dataset that I will be using. So open it up, and I will go to here. So here I will give you two examples. First, the normal filter, rename. So I will call it normal filter. So in this sheet, I will just create a normal filter, and then I compare it with the interactive filter option in Tableau. So again, I will plot my data on a map. So I will select country, then I will select state 2, and then to say that the size of these points should be based on the population variable. So now it looks good. So let's see if I add a normal filter. So normally what we do in order to add a normal filter is that we just drag this variable. So I want to create a filter on a region variable, so I drag it variable over the region and say select all the region. I will say apply. So here, suppose if I just don't want to see the west region, so okay. So here you can see that the west states are not shown on the map because I have filtered those observations based on this filter. And let's see if I add this sheet. If I add this sheet, my normal filter sheet, to my dashboard, which is here. Let's see, which is here. The important thing to note here is that you can see that the graph is based on the filter data, not based on the whole data, and the user don't have any option here to change the filter. But now, based on the interactive filter, the user will be having the option to change the graph. So, but here as an admin of my account, I have created a filter here, and when I will be sharing this dashboard, the end user will get this visual, and they will not be able to interact with the data or change this visual based on their own need. But interactive filter will allow end users to change the filter according to their need. So let's go back to that way, that how we can create an interactive filter. So I will come to sheet 2 and I will come here and rename it first as interactive filter. And here I will create the same graph but we'll give an option of interaction. So let's see country, then state. Again, the size of these points should vary based on the size of population. Now the point is there are two ways to create interactive filters. So the one easy way is that suppose you want to create an interactive filter based on this region. So you just have to click this down arrow button and then you have to say show filter. So once you set show filter, you can see the region is got added into the filters. And the important thing is that here you can also see the options. And now let's see if I select any option, unopt any option, you can see my graph keeps on getting updated based on the options that I am opting or I'm opting out. Or let's see, select all. So now let's see if I add this interactive filter to my dashboard, which I will be sharing with my end audience. How it will look like. So let's see if I add my interactive filter here. The important thing is that you can see that these options are visible here, which will impact my interactive filter. Let's try this. So if you can see it here, the end user will have these options to change this interactive graph or this graph that I have added according to their need. But this graph is not interactive, so the data that I have filtered remains filtered. End user will not get the option to change it, whereas the interactive filter is very gives the option to user to change it according to their need. As you can see it here, as I'm changing the options, my graph still keeps on updating, and the same thing will be the end user also be able to do. So let's see if I want to clear the filter. So this is one of the way you can add interactive filter. Again, you can see if I come here, another way of adding the interactive filter is, firstly I've shown that you come to here this region variable, click this down arrow button and opt this show filter option. The other option is the suppose if I just remove this filter. So another way of adding the interactive filter is that first you just add this region as a normal filter and say opt all the option, apply. Okay, and as you can see, it's just a normal filter and there is no interactive option coming up here on the right hand side. But in order to convert your normal filter to an interactive filter, you can click this down arrow button and here you can see the option show filter. You can click this option show filter and then your variables will get converted into interactive filter. So in the interactive filter, important thing to note here is that there is a down arrow button. By clicking it, you will be able to see different options to see your interactive filter or view your interactive filter. So let's go through each option and discuss a bit. So if I click this down arrow button, by default, you are getting multiple value list. Another thing to note here is that currently we are adding an interactive filter based on a categorical variable, which is a region. But these options which you are seeing it here will vary based on the variable you have selected. For the categorical variable, you will view these kind of options. For for numeric variable, your options will be different, and your date variable, your options will be different too. So what we will do for this video, will go one by one. Currently we are considering categorical variable, and then after that we will consider numerical variable, that how interactive options will vary for a numeric variable, and the same for the date variable. So by default, when you use a categorical variable, Tableau will allow us to select this multiple value list. What is multiple value list? By multiple value list, Tableau is allowing you to opt different options. So I will say north central, northeast, all. So you can opt as many option according to your need. But suppose your needs got different and you want a different kind of style of your interactive filter. There is the first option, which is the single value list, which will only allow you to opt only one category at a time. So if you come here, you can only select one option or one category at a time: northeast, south, and west. And based on your option that you have opted, your graph keeps on changing. Again, I will go to my down arrow button, and here there is a single value drop down. So instead of seeing all the options on your screen, you can hide your options through down arrow button. But again, you can able to opt only one data point at a time. So south, east. Here you can also select the all option, which will show you the all the data. But again, you can only opt one option or one category at a time through this down arrow button too. So again, if I go to this down arrow button again, here is a bit different option, which is the single value slider. Again, it will allow you to opt only one category, but the display of information is a bit different. So currently we have selected all data. If I click this arrow button, you can see I'm able to select north central, northeast, south, and west. So all the previous options that I have discussed are doing almost the same thing, but the way you will view that interactive filter is different, and you can select whatever you think is best for you. The multiple value list is the default that we have already discussed. So I will go to multiple value drop down. So here a multiple value drop down will allow us to opt multiple option, as you can see it here. Again, I will clear the filter and go back, and here we have a multiple value custom list. So let's do what does it do. So if I suppose this option will allow you to search for, suppose if I want to search N, and if I enter, you can see that's showing us that there are two regions which are starting from N, which is north central and northeast. So you can opt it according to your need. So this option, which we have just discussed, the multiple value custom list, is mainly useful when you have a categorical variable which have a long list. So you can use this option, which will try to simplify your life in terms of searching the categories. And the other thing is wildcard option, again, is very similar to the option that we have just discussed. So now if I search N, you can see it's showing us all the states which are in the north central. So these are the different options that you can use with the interactive graphs, especially when you are using interactive filters on a categorical variable. Now we go to sheet 3 and we will draw the same graph, but this time we will be adding interactive filter on a numeric variable or on the Meyer variables. So let's do it. So I will create a country and then select state. I will say the population sizes should vary based on the marks of these plots should vary based on the size of the population in the given state. Let's add an interactive filter. So suppose if I add a divorce here on my filter, and I would say sum. Next, apply. Okay. So here, if you're able to see, there is a filter here, and let's see if I convert into show filters. So here we have the show filter. Let's see how many ways we can see this numeric filter through this down arrow button. Currently, you can slide the values through here and showing us that these are the data points which comes under this criteria. So we are saying only show those states in which the divorce numbers are given within this range. But let's see if I clear this filter, go to this down arrow button. So under this down arrow button, you can see that we have the option to see the range of values in which we can define our starting value and the ending value, or we can also select at least in which we are saying show us all the data which is greater than this number that I have selected. In the same way, if I clear the filter, and we have another option which is at most, and I'm saying that show us the data in which at most maximum the divorce number is 100047. Any data points which are above this thing will be ignored in my data. Again, I will clear it and go back. But here, if you look at this down arrow button, the options to view the interactive filter are very different compared to the options which we were getting when we were using the categorical variable. Therefore, as I said that when we will be using a categorical variable as an interactive filter, your options to view that filter will be different compared to if you will be using a numeric variable on which you are building your interactive filter. So in last, I will create another sheet, and this time I will be using date filter, and I will be using date variable in an interactive filter. Again, if I go to my folder, I have shown you that I will be using two data sets for this video. The other data sets will be the index. I have already imported US census data sets in Tableau already. Now this is the time when I will be using index data set. So in sheet 4, you can see that I have US census data set variables here, but I don't want these variables for my sheet 4. I want the index variable. In order to do that, the simple way is that if you can see there is an add button which is saying new data source. So if I click it, again I will click Microsoft Excel because my data set is in Excel. Open. And now you can see I am able to import my data into Tableau. And now if I go to sheet 4, you can see my dimensions are date, index, and these are the data set that I have added. And now I can construct my graph. So let's see if I quickly construct my graph, date, price index. So I like to create a time series graph. Here what it's doing is that it's aggregating the data based on at a year level. I want the exact date. So now it's not aggregating, it's just aggregating the data at a day level or the date level. So everything looks good now. So let's see if I want to create an interactive graph of the date. If I click this down arrow button and say show filter, now currently you can see by default what happened is that I can see the data based on the year level. So suppose if I don't want to see 1993, 1994, I can keeps on unopting those data and my graphs keeps on updating. So I can see the data from 1998 onward till 2019, as you can see it here. But again, if I click this down arrow button, these are the options that I can opt. Single value drop down, very much the same options that we have when we were considering the categorical variable. But the point is to note that this is a year date filter. Here you can also see, but Tableau allow you to change this thing. So suppose if I click this down arrow button, here you can see you can select year, quarter, month, day, and more. Again, there is another thing, year, quarter, and these things. What is happening is that if I select quarter filter, and if I say quarter 1, quarter 2, all, okay, here, and if I say show filter, what happening is that when I say show me just quarter 1, so it will be representing me all the quarter 1s from all the years that I have. So and in the same way, if I select quarter 2, so it will show me the quarter 1 and the quarter 2 in all the years of the data that I have. again, if I clear it, and suppose let's see if I change it again. So now if I select month, so if I say use 1, 2, 3, okay, and again if I ask it to show filter, so here you can see that I am seeing all these 4 months data from all the years. But here, this is one of the way which you can use, but there is a good way of using the date filter, which is a bit different than this way, which is, if you look at these options, if I say, so this is the one segment of the option, and here we have the other segment of the option in which we can further go into a bit more in a time series way. So if I select year, it's giving me a bit different options. So let's see, okay, and if I keep it as a show filter, and now you can see that you can select the year based on this slider. You can select the range of the year that you want to see, which seems a bit more appropriate for this graph compared to the other options I was getting. It was more problematic if I add this interactive filter for my user. So this filter looks a bit better than the previous options I was getting. In the same way, in terms of year, suppose you want to give an option to select the year, so to select to the quarter level option. So let's see if I select this thing, set OK, and if I again say show filter, so now I can select my information. So suppose if now I'm saying show me all the data from 1995 quarter 2 till quarter 2019 quarter 1, I can even change that option too. So this is also one way of adding an interactive filter for your user. Again, if I go back to this, there are many other options that you can use. You can also apply the filter on an exact date level too. So if I select exact date, okay. So and again, if I say show, so now it gives you a bit at a very smaller level to select from which date to which date you want to see the data. So suppose if I want to see the data after 18th November 1999 until 17th September 2014. So these are all the ways through which you can apply the interactive filter. So let's quickly add this sheet 4 to my dashboard too. So let's say this is the sheet 4 that I have created, and if I add that too quickly, so you can see here that I have added this sheet here, but here you can see that I also have the interactive filter. So let's see if I do it here, and things according to my need, the data got updated accordingly. Again, these interactions interactivity will not be only for you. When you will publish your dashboard for the end user, even the end user will be able to filter that data too. But if you look at this graph, the normal filter the normal filter will not allow the end user to change, whereas the interactive filter gives the power to the end user to change the data or to change the visuals according to their need, or opt the data or change the graphs based on the data they have selected. So this is all about the interactive filters that we have discussed. Probably in my later video we will discuss a bit of advanced about the interactive filter. Thank you for watching the video.